A Yeti, a mermaid, and Bigfoot have come out of hiding to educate everyone on how the planet is slowly dying. From air pollution to trash in the ocean, climate change is real, and they have been experiencing it firsthand. Later, we will meet with Dr. Stone, a retired MATC geology instructor, to talk to us more about climate change and the ways to stop it. All this and more on She is Dying. Welcome to She's Dying, a show that will shed light on climate change and show everyone that it is hurting all species. But first, we have a special treat for everyone at home. We were able to get in contact with the abominable snowman, a mermaid, and the one and only Bigfoot to talk to us about such issues. We got a chance to sit down with them and see their perspective on climate change and how it's affecting their home. First, we met with the abominable snowman, or the Yeti to some, who have traveled all the way from Mount Everest just to talk to us about global warming and the ozone layer. Let's take a look.
Hello everybody, I am the Yeti, or as some of you may know me as, the abominable snowman. I come from the Himalayan mountain range, which is in Asia. I actually live on Mount Everest. It is quite cold up there, which is why I've come to the city of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I don't travel a lot, though this does seem like good land. However, I am here to tell you that the Earth is dying. I say the big issue right now is global warming, which is caused by the greenhouse effect, which is when greenhouse gases are released into the atmosphere, such as methane, nitrous oxide, and carbon dioxide, which is what you humans breathe out. These gases are released into the atmosphere, trapped, heated up by the sun, and thus warming the surface and the oceans. Oh, most definitely. The burning of fossil fuels creates greenhouse gases, which adds to global warming. They burn fossil fuels like gas and coal to create electricity or power cars, not even caring that it's hurting our planet. Air pollution also isn't good for the Earth. A lot of people live where the air quality isn't good, thus putting the health of animals and humans alike at risk. They run the risk of contracting heart disease, stroke, or lung cancer. Greenhouse gases are caused by forest fires. There are approximately 70,000 forest fires a year, which contribute to global warming. Wildfire risk is due to temperature, soil moisture, and the presence of trees, shrubs, and other type of potential fuel. It is also caused by weather phenomenon, such as lightning. However, more than 85% of wildfires are the result of humans. Humans cause wildfires by not properly watching their campfire, disposing of their cigarettes, burning debris, and acts of arson. That's why my friend Smokey always says, only you can prevent forest fires. Which is true. The ozone layer is a layer of gas above the Earth's weather systems that protects the planet and its inhabitants from the sun's harmful ultraviolet rays. But, over the past couple of decades, a hole has been opening up in the ozone layer over the southern hemisphere. It's being caused by a chemical reaction of bromine and chlorine gases in the ozone layer. If the hole grows bigger, it'll start to affect the world, as there will be no protection from the ultraviolet rays. The radiation will cause skin cancer, causing radiation sores. Though I've heard it through the grapevine that scientists have found a way and are actually repairing the ozone layer, which is fantastic. Ways you can help protect the planet is by watching out and preventing risk of fires. You can also reduce the use of coal and electric gas, and instead use clean energy such as solar and wind. It's better that you help the planet heal now, because if you don't, it may be too late.
It's amazing they're patching up the ozone layer, and I even heard it'll be completely fixed by 2040 to 2070. After seeing how global warming is affecting the planet, let's take a look at how the oceans are surviving the harsh conditions. From plastic in the ocean to rising levels, and with the ocean being about 70% of the Earth's surface, it's bound to be affected. And this mermaid, who traveled all the way from the Atlantic Ocean, is here to talk all about it.
Hey, thanks for coming. You're here to learn about the ocean and how it's going downhill? Or should I say, uphill, because it's rising. One of the biggest problems going on in the world right now is the rising ocean levels. Since 1993, the average rate of the ocean rising is 0.12 to 0.14 inches a year. Now, that might not seem like a lot right now, but that number is not going down, and soon it'll be too late to stop it. There's a connection between the rising ocean levels and global warming. Because you see, the glaciers melt, changing the volume of the water. And as water gets heated, it expands. So in the hotter areas of the world, the water expands. And this affects the rest of the ocean. The ocean helps to reduce global warming because it can hold large amounts of carbon dioxide that warm up the planet. Now, this does affect the wildlife in the ocean, though, because it makes the water acidic, giving certain wildlife like corals and shellfish a hard time creating their shells and skeletons. Plastic is probably the worst issue going on in the ocean. Because you see, since the boom of plastic in the 1940s, the world has been littered with toxic plastic, including the ocean, being about 70% of the ocean's debris, which endangers the wildlife living there. The animals would be entangled by plastic, affecting their swimming and making it hard for them to breathe. Along with that, they also eat the plastic, thinking it's food and choking on it in their death. If the animals do end up swallowing it, the toxic chemicals in the plastic will have a long-lasting effect on the animals, like liver issues and reduced eating. Yes, oil spills are very harmful to the wildlife in the ocean. My friend Willie the whale swam through an oil spill without knowing it. He inhaled the oil, and it damaged his lungs, his immune functions, and his reproduction. It's not just Willie that was affected. Birds and sea otters were exposed to the harsh chemicals too. They couldn't repel the water due to the oil, and sea turtles were getting stuck, thinking that the oil was food. A lot of animals ingested it, causing them to be poisoned. That was a sad day back in 2010. Isn't there that one movie about a clownfish traveling around the ocean? But there's not one piece of trash throughout that journey. I'd like to live in that ocean. Yeah, we're losing a lot of good animals here in the ocean, and the conditions aren't helping. Some of the species that are endangered are sea turtles, sea lions, great white sharks, green turtles, blue whales. And that's just a small list of the ocean wildlife that's close to extinction. At the end of the day, the water levels are rising each year, and the wildlife is being threatened due to choices being made by humans. And if something isn't done soon, it'll be irreversible. So please, help in any way you can, even if it's just recycling your trash. The future will thank you. I probably should be heading back now. My friend Ariel wants me to try out this thing that looks like a fork. I don't know. See you later.
Cleaning the ocean will be going on for years if we don't start using more green substitutes for plastic, like paper and metal. The ocean is essential to life on Earth, and how humanity has been treating it makes it look like we don't care. I'm here with Dr. George Stone, a retired MATC geology instructor who will be talking to us all about the biggest issue happening with the planet right now and the ways that we can try and stop it. Hello, Dr. Stone. How are you doing today?
Hi, Kenzie. I'm doing well. I'm very happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
What would you say the biggest causes of climate change are right now?
Burning fossil fuels, combustion of fossil fuels in land, sea, and air, and also the deforestation of the rainforests and the temperate rainforests as well, because green plants act as storage facilities for carbon dioxide, for carbon. So those are the two biggest things, the clearing the forests and combustion of fossil fuels. The most important thing we can do, of course, it's good to set the thermostat a little lower, drive less if you don't have to, and all of those things. But the most important thing we can do is find out which politicians, which of your representatives recognize this problem and will vote to address it, to mitigate it. That's by far the most important thing. Public policy is where the answer lies.
That's a good point. What are your other thoughts on climate change?
Well, that's the main one. It's very serious. If we don't do something now, it's going to get out of control. It could become irreversible, as was said in the interview, and then we won't be able to reverse it. And cleaning the oceans, it's going to take more than years. It's going to take centuries. Carbon dioxide molecules, which is the principal greenhouse gas, have an average lifetime in the atmosphere of over a century. So all the CO2 that's in there now is going to be there for several hundred years on the long end. And this planet could well become uninhabitable. Biodiversity is decreasing rapidly due to, let me give one example, the coral reefs, which are the most diverse ecosystem in the oceans. The oceans, the most diverse ecosystem on the planet where life originated. The coral reefs depend upon an algae that coexists with them called zooxanthellae. Now what global warming is doing, and I much prefer the term global warming, you know where climate change came from, that term? A staffer in the Republican caucus in the House said, let's call it climate change because that's natural, we've had ice ages. Global warming is too scary for people, so that's what changed it. And now we don't call it what it is, which is global warming, we call it climate change. But the coral reefs, two main things that are happening, the ocean waters are warming up, and when you dissolve carbon dioxide in water, it forms carbonic acid. So the acidity is increasing, the pH is going down. So those two factors, warming waters and increasing acidity, are killing that zooxanthellae that the coral reefs depend upon, and so coral reefs are bleaching out and dying all over the world, including the Great Barrier Reef, the greatest coral reef on Earth.
Yeah.
That's an example of how biodiversity is being affected. And the species are going extinct right and left. We may be among them if we don't get smart and get honest. There's so much dishonesty and hypocrisy involved in this issue. And what about the fossil fuel companies? The impacts of global warming are causing billions of dollars damage every year. Who's liable for that? The victims? I don't think so. The energy companies? Yes, absolutely. Are they being held liable? No. Why do we still subsidize these fossil fuel companies? Oil companies that prospect for oil and gas, they can write those expenses off. Tax deductions. So who's paying the taxes instead? We are, Joe taxpayer, or Kenzie taxpayer. So there's a lot of things to work on.
So I was interested in how you mentioned the reefs. How do you think that climate change is affecting animals?
Well, changing temperature. An example out in the Rocky Mountains where I have a summer cabin, the pika is a little rabbit-related animal that lives up a tree line, and they eat the vegetation, the tundra plants, but they require the low temperatures. They're becoming extinct in many mountain ranges. So that's just one example. You change the temperature, life forms adapt to the local conditions. Those conditions change, they adapt. That's how evolution takes place.
Yeah. How do you think climate change is affecting the human population?
Well, the weather systems are changing. It's affecting water and food supply. What's more fundamental than that? Also living space. The little shallow islands, the islands that are not very deep, out in the Pacific, the rising sea level is flooding them. People are losing their homelands. They're losing their space for living. So living space, water supply, agriculture is being drastically affected in a lot of places. Human survivability in a lot of places is being affected. And we hope this is not the beginning of an ecocide in which the entire planet becomes dead.
Yeah, in your opinion, what's not being done to stop the problem?
Well, I just mentioned a few things. We need to stop the subsidies of fossil fuel companies and paying some of their expenses. Why should the taxpayers be paying for the destruction of the planet? Also, we need to charge them and find them liable for the damages. Billions of dollars of damage from all these climate-related events or global warming instigated events. And so that's public policy. We need to restrict greenhouse gases through public policy. That means legislation. So don't vote for anybody who lies in their teeth and says that global warming is not occurring.
So what are some ways that we can prevent climate change?
Pass public policy that restricts greenhouse gases. That's a very important one. And as I say, the most important of all is get involved politically, find out, and at every level, local, like municipal, county, state, national, international. Find out which one of your representatives recognizes the reality of global warming and vote for them. If they don't recognize it, and like a lot of them talk nonsense about it, then don't vote for them. The public policy requires political action. And so the thermostat's fine to turn down, but public policy is where it's at. And internationally, because this is a planetary problem. The Earth has an energy balance. It's positive, which means planet Earth is absorbing more heat than it's radiating back into space. So it's warming, global warming. That's what's happening. Why is it holding holding more heat? Because of greenhouse gases. They absorb more radiation, hold the heat in. So this is, as they say nowadays, an existential problem, a long-term problem about survival of life on this planet.
Yeah, in your opinion, how did climate change become such a big problem?
Money. We live in a capitalist economy. Fossil fuel industry is the most financially, the most profitable industry in the history of human beings, the fossil fuel industry. They have tremendous lobbyists. They get away with murder, literally. And the planet is not dying, it's being murdered.
Yeah, thank you for answering those questions.
Well, it's an extremely important subject.
Yeah.
And the future of life on planet, of course, including human life, depends on meeting this challenge and mitigating global warming. And the principal way to do that is to stop clear cutting the forest like the dictator down in Brazil is doing to the Amazon, and start making those who are liable. We have a basic principle in our culture that if you cause damage, then you're liable to repair it. The fossil fuel industry is causing immense damage to the planet, and we're actually subsidizing them.
Yeah.
That's got to change, and that's public policy, and that means vote for honest, informed candidates for your representatives.
Well, thank you for sharing.
My pleasure, it's important.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you so much, Dr. Stone, for coming in and teaching us about climate change.
My students, former students, I think there's one out at the reception desk, will tell you that I didn't mince words in class about this issue. I told them, I explained very great detail what the causes and the relationships are and what needs to be done. Vote for people who will fix it, who will protect you. I mean, the fundamental responsibility of government is to protect its citizens. And we're not doing that in this case.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Now it's the moment we've all been waiting for. From traveling to almost every state in America, this creature is close to seeing it all. We got a chance to interview the famous Bigfoot on how they are being affected and how the trash in their home is becoming a problem.
Hi, I'm Bigfoot. I don't mean to brag, but you might have heard of me. I'm kind of famous. People think that because I'm a monster and I have big feet, I'm a man. But I'm not. It's 2022, people. Women can have big feet too. I haven't really been seen much because I like living in the deepest part of the woods. But over the last few years, humans have been coming here and it's getting really invaded. They come here to camp or hunt and they leave a really big mess. Who do they think is gonna clean it up? The squirrels? Plastic can last up to 400 years, and in that time, it creates greenhouse gases that help to warm up the planet. It is expected that by 2050, plastic production will be 13% of the world's carbon budget. That's of the whole carbon emission. 13%? That's crazy! What's even more crazy is that plastic is typically made for a one-time use, which means that it either ends up in a landfill, or on the side of the road, or right in my home. Eventually, after roughly 400 years, it breaks down into something called microplastics, which is still plastic, but you can't even see it. Microplastic is affecting everyone. It's been found in food, water, even the air. It's been reported that people are ingesting up to 5 grams of microplastic a week. It's affecting the animals too. Polar bears don't even have enough ice to live on because it's melting because of global warming. It's been reported recently that a polar bear swam 426 miles, not because it wanted to, but because there wasn't any ice for it to stand on. Sea turtles are endangered. I mean, we have all seen that video of the sea turtle with the plastic straw. And mountain gorillas are confined to a small range because they're literally surrounded by humans. They can't even move anywhere. Animals are losing their homes because of climate change and deforestation. Deforestation started thousands of years ago when humans needed wood for timber and houses. In fact, most farmlands and whole continents today used to be all forest. Deforestation happens now to build roads and to make paper from the wood. Also, farmers in other countries, they will burn down the forests to fertilize the ground, but that only lasts for a couple years, and then they'll move on to another area to do it all over again. This is what is making so many species of animals and plants go extinct. And the loss of trees causes erosion, which means that the plants that do survive are still at risk of dying. I am begging humans to do something. I pick up trash everywhere I go, but I can't change policies. We need more advanced policies to fight and defeat climate change. Also, encourage businesses to go more green to reduce the carbon footprint of humans. Lastly, help people and animals adapt to climate change. Because if we can't stop it, at least we can try and slow it down.
Taking climate change seriously is the first step in making a difference. We have one planet and it needs our help. Anyone can help, whether it's picking up trash, protesting, signing petitions to make companies go more green. We need to start somewhere to cause any change, even if it's the smallest act. It looks like that is the end of our show. I wanted to thank Dr. Stone and everyone who helped spread awareness of climate change today. Until next time, have a great night, and remember, only you can help defeat climate change.